Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 5. This is a weapons overview in Elite Dangerous. I am Circuit 6. Let's get started. One of the most important things in this game is heat management. And everything, I mean everything on your ship generates heat. If you start to overheat your ship, you can start damaging critical systems, including life support and even your hull. Keeping your heat down also keeps you less visible to your enemy's sensors, making it harder for them to find you. Weapons are by far the largest heat generators in the game. There are a few weapons with even 1 or 2 shots that can completely overheat your ship. We're going to stick with the Viper just to make sure that we have a baseline for all our weapons testing. The weapons are separated into different classes. The higher the class, the higher the damage output is going to be for that type of weapon. There's also 3 different categories. There's laser, which includes your pulse, your beam, your burst, and your railgun. There's cannon, which includes your multi-cannon and your regular cannon. And then there's missile for your missile racks. Each category serves a particular purpose. The lasers, for example, won't do much damage to the enemy's hull, but it will take down their shields relatively quickly. Some of the weapons have different variations. You can get gimbaled mounts, which is symbolized by the letter G after the name of the weapon. A gimbaled mount will offer some aiming assistance when trying to hit your target. What this means is that you don't have to be dead on every single time you fire. It'll actually help track the target for you. The drawback to this is that you can only mount one class lower than your actual hardpoint. So if you have a class 4 hardpoint, you can only equip a class 3 gimbaled weapon. So if you're brand new to this game or you're just having difficulty hitting your targets, it may not be a bad idea to try these out. Just keep in mind, if you're good at keeping on target, you'll do more damage with a higher class weapon. So we're going to go ahead and equip this with 2 class 4 pulse lasers, 1 class 2 pulse laser, and a class 2 beam laser. One major benefit to equipping either the pulse laser or the beam laser is the fact that they don't require any ammunition. However, the trade-off for this is the fact that they create a lot more heat than, say, a multi-cannon. The beam laser is great in the fact that there is no real round. It continues firing until you let off the trigger. The downside to this is that if you're not on your target, you're not doing any damage, and it generates a lot of heat. If you look to the left of the radar, you'll see how quickly my heat signature builds while trying to attack this target. But then again, it punches a hole straight through the enemy's shields without a problem. The pulse laser does exactly what the name says. It pulses. This allows for it to cool down much quicker, and it uses less energy as it's not consistently firing like the beam laser. The downside of this is that you have very little time to hit your target in comparison with the beam laser, where you can kind of scan around until you actually hit them. And finally, once the enemy's shields are down, it's going to take you a long time using these lasers to punch through the hull and destroy your enemy. That's why it's best to have a combination of not just lasers, but other weapons as well. If I was using gimbaled lasers in this instance, I would have a much easier time being able to hit my target, as I wouldn't have to be dead on every single shot. So while lasers may not be the most effective solution to destroy your enemy, they do come in handy when trying to deplete their shields, and they also weigh in the fact that they don't require any ammunition whatsoever. So let's head back, we'll re-equip the ship with something new, and try it again. Alright, so this time we're going to go with 2 class 4 railguns, which fall in the same category with the other lasers we just tested. In addition, we're going to go with 2 class 2 missile racks. Missile racks require ammunition unlike the lasers, so you have to make sure that you purchase it and be wary of how much you're using in battle, as they are quite expensive. So with our first target, which is a hauler, we take our first few shots with the missile launcher, and you can see how long it takes for each missile to penetrate the shield. However, once the shields are down, we make quick work of our target. It's also important to note that missiles do have travel time, and they do have a maximum distance that they can reach. So if you're up against a Viper, there's a good chance that it can outrun your missiles. So you want to make sure that you're firing when you're close enough that they still have a good chance to hit the target. Next up, we have the railguns. These are by far the largest heat generating weapons in the game. They take a while to charge, so when you pull the trigger, don't expect an immediate response. Keep an eye on the heat indication to the left of my radar. You'll notice after a few shots, I am in danger of overheating my ship. While this weapon is very slow, as long as you hit your target, it will do an incredible amount of damage, which is the trade-off for the heat and the slow firing rate. If you can manage to stay on target when this weapon fires, you'll see how quickly their shields deplete and how only a couple shots can blow them clear out of the sky. If you plan on using these railguns more than a few times in one fight, you may want to have a heat sink on hand to cool down your ship. Alright, so next up we're going to equip the multi-cannons. These use ammunition, so you have to make sure to restock them every time. One of the best benefits to having multi-cannons, or cannons for that matter, is the fact that they generate very little heat. However, you have to lead your target whenever you're shooting, because staying directly on target, your rounds are going to fall short. Make sure to pay close attention when I'm attacking this Viper. I'm unloading a lot of rounds into his shields, and yet they are still active. Multi-cannons do very little damage against shields, so you always want to have something to take those down first before using them. Also make sure to make note of how many rounds I've let go and how little my heat has actually risen. Next up we're going to take a look at the cannon. This time, however, I'm going to equip 2 pulse lasers to take down the shields first so you can see what the cannons can actually do to the hull. The cannons act much like the railguns. With the exception of the fact that you have to lead your target using the cannons, there's still a long delay in reloading before you can fire again. Once your target's shields are down, if you manage to land a few rounds using your cannon, it'll make very short work of the hull. And this brings us to the most powerful weapon in the game. The Class 8 Plasma Accelerator, which can only be equipped on the Anaconda and is very rarely seen for sale in All-In. This is an unguided weapon and is very hard to aim, especially at fast-moving ships, and is really only used for larger targets. You can see the small targeting reticule just above the bow of the ship. It's a very small circle. However, if you manage to land one shot on even most of the smaller ships, it will destroy them instantly. So that about does it for episode 5 of the Elite Dangerous Basics covering the weapons. I hope it gives you a better idea on how to manage your heat levels in your ship, as well as what weapons to pick and what will make the best loadout for whatever game style you choose to play. As always, if you like the videos, please rate, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to check out some of my other videos.